The poor guy had a pretty awful day. First period, he got his math test back. He failed. During lunch, his girlfriend broke up with him. And at basketball tryouts after school, he tripped and broke his leg. When Brian gets home from the hospital, he does the first thing every single high school student does when they get home. His homework. I'm just messing with you guys. Of course he goes onto Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. And what does he see as he scrolls? He sees his best friend tweet about how he's so glad to have made the basketball team. #excited. He sees his big brother update his status with, "Just got engaged to the love of my life, feeling blessed." And he sees his best friend's Snapchat story of themselves out at dinner with the caption, "Craziest and funniest night ever, lol." As Brian scrolls through these posts, he just gets more and more depressed as he compares his life to everyone else's and realizes how lame it is. What Brian doesn't see, however, is the whole story. His best friend may have made the basketball team, but his power school is full of Fs. His big brother got engaged, but that's only because his girlfriend is pregnant. And that night out wasn't really the best night ever. And now everyone who was there is struggling to finish their homework before 4 in the morning. More like #struggle bus than lol. But Brian doesn't see all this. All negativity has been scraped away with surgical precision. In fact, if you look at all of the posts on social media, you'd be hard-pressed to find one that doesn't use overly positive language. Looking at my own Facebook profile, I couldn't find one post that didn't use positive language. Hi, I'm Jazz, and I'm going to be talking about the sad side of social media. To put it simply, the overly positive, selective, almost bragging language we use on social media has created a culture where it's not socially acceptable to admit that you're not doing that great. A culture where everyone's competing to have the most perfect life, and no one wants to find themselves in last place. Talking about your problems doesn't get you likes on Facebook. It gets you labeled a failure. But social media is an illusion. The happiness we see on there most of the time is fake. Those exclamation points we add for enthusiasm, fake. All those happy emoticons, fake. All those inspirational hashtags, fake. All those lols and OMGs, fake. Let's be honest, how many of you actually laugh out loud every single time you say lol on social media? Right? We all realize this, and yet we're all still sucked in, led to believe that everyone else's life must be better than ours. In a recent Stanford study, 80 freshmen were asked to report on whether they thought their peers had recently undergone negative or positive experiences. The researchers found that the subjects consistently underestimated the number of negative experiences by as much as 28.8%, while overestimating the positive experiences by as much as 20.9%. What were these perceptions based on? Social media. Because, let's be honest, how many of you go on Facebook and feel inferior? How many of you scroll through Instagram and feel like everyone's having more fun than you? How many of you look at Snapchat stories and feel like you're missing out? Because I sure have. I sat in front of my computer at 9 on a Friday night, looking at pictures people posted themselves out clubbing on Khao Road, and thought to myself, wow, my life is boring. Comparing ourselves to others is totally normal, and usually hasn't presented too much of a problem in the past. However, social media makes the playing field uneven. And when we make these skewed comparisons to other people, we're afraid of talking to them for fear of appearing inferior. This makes us lonely. In a study by University of Michigan psychologist Ethan Cross, 82 subjects were sent 5 texts a day asking how they were feeling, if they were worried or lonely, and how much they had used Facebook in between texts. Regret discourse, take it from someone who has. This means that more Facebook use led to increased feelings of loneliness. And loneliness is the perfect prerequisite for anxiety, depression, and even suicide. Suicide and depression rates have been on the rise. In the US, depression is 10 to 20 times more likely than it was 50 years ago. And suicide rates went up by 11% from 2006 to 2011. I'm not saying social media is the only cause of these rising suicide and depression rates, but it's easy to see how it could contribute. The language used on social media has created a culture of perfectionism that our minds simply aren't equipped to deal with, and our mental health suffers for it. Overuse of social media creates a downward spiral of loneliness, anxiety, depression, and even suicide. I'm not saying we shouldn't be positive on social media. If everyone posted about the negative parts of their day, it would probably be even more depressing. I mean, my sister, mind you, she's the only person I know who does this, can always post about how annoyed she is at people, and I can't say it makes me feel any better. And there are studies that say social media use can increase happiness, which makes sense because shouldn't positivity lead to positivity? The key here, however, is active versus passive use. In a University of Missouri study, researchers attached electrodes to subjects' faces to monitor their facial expressions while they browsed social media. The researchers found that when the subjects were actively involved with social media, there was an increase in happy expressions. But when they were only passively involved, these happy expressions disappeared. This means we should use social media to actually socialize with others. What? But in all honesty, let me explain what active versus passive really means. Active means messaging others on chat, liking and commenting on others' posts, and updating your status when something truly good and worth posting about happens to you, as opposed to just passive browsing, which is mindless scrolling through news feeds and stalking others' perfect profiles. Because when you see the humans instead of the perfect profiles, you'll realize that you're not the only one having problems, and there are people you can talk to. The other, more obvious solution to this problem is to simply use social media less. This probably sounds like your parents' yells to get off Facebook, but sometimes parents can be right. Studies like the ones I've told you about have shown that overuse of social media is damaging to our mental health. Small 10-minute windows of what psychologist Wendy Gardner calls social snacking is best for our mental health. So, ultimately, if the language of social media is getting you down, do something drastic about it. Close your computers,